All right, solving a system of linear equations with decimal coefficients. You have options for how you're going to solve these. You can solve one of the equations for one of the letters and then substitute it into the other equation. You can get one of the letters to match in both of the equations and have it cancel out. That is called elimination. Or you could graph them. So what we're going to do is I see these 0.05y and then 1.5y. I can get these to match pretty easily because I'm thinking multiples of 5. So 3 times 0.05 is going to be 1.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change and multiply this equation. I want them to be matching, but one positive and one negative. So I'm going to multiply the whole top row by -3, meaning everything in the top needs to get multiplied by that -3. So I'm going to have -3 times 0.09 is going to be 2.7 because 3 times 9 is 27. Move the decimal over 1. And it's a positive, so 2.7x minus a -3 times 0.05 is going to be minus 0.15y equals, now I can't forget the other side. I have to multiply the 2.1 also by -3, and that will be -6.3. And then I'm going to write the other equation exactly like I see it. Plus 1.5y equals -6.1. Now, because I have the signs opposite in here, I'm just going to add down. So just combine straight down. And I have 2.7x plus 0.4x is going to be 3.1x. These are going to cancel out. So I'm not going to have a y. And then -6.3 and -6.1, they're the same sign. I'm going to add them together and I'm going to get a -12.4. All right, then I have just the x that I'm looking at. So I'm going to divide both sides by x, by that 3.1, divided by 3.1. And x equals, now 3 goes into 12 4 times 1, and so it is actually going to be 4 times 3.1 does equal the 12.4, so this is going to be a -4. So now that I have one of the values, I can go and plug this into either one of the equations that I have. It doesn't really matter which one I pick. I will get the same answer either way. Generally, I don't want to take one of the ones that I've changed just in case I did something creative. So I'm just going to take this -4 and plug it into that very second equation. So I'm going to have 0.4. And then instead of the x, I'm going to put the -4 in here. Plus 1.5y equals -6.1. Now solving this one, I have 4 times 0.4 times -4 is going to be -1.6 plus 1.5y equals -6.1. And I'm going to add the 1.6. These are opposite signs. These cancel out. And I have 1.5y. Opposite signs meaning I'm going to subtract them. So 6, this becomes a 5. There's a whole bunch of different ways I can subtract. I'm just going to do old school right now. And then I have to divide both sides by the 1.5. And now I know 15 times 3 is 45. So this is just with the decimal in there, the decimals match up. So I really could make it -45 divided by 15 by moving the decimal in both of those. So this is going to be a -3 equals y. All right, so now I have my x and my y. I get to type them into my problems. X is -4. Make sure I'm putting the right one for the right letter. And this is a -3. Check my problems. And I am good on this one, and I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to clear all my drawings. All right, so this one, I'm looking at them. I have the 3.6, the negative. I don't have any of them that are just an x or just a y, so solving for one and substituting doesn't seem like the best plan. I could get 9 goes into 36 4 times, So I can change this one to this so that they match, and they're already opposite signs. So I'm going to multiply this bottom one times 4. The top one is going to stay exactly like it is. So I have 3.6 x minus 1.2 y equals 6. And then the bottom one is going to be 4 times negative 0.9x is going to be negative 3.6x. Multiplying with decimals, remember it's the same as the whole, just multiplying 4 times 9 and just knowing I have to have one decimal with that. Plus 4 times 0.8 is 4 times 8 is 32, and I need one decimal, so this is going to be 3.2y equals, do not forget the last side, 4 times 2 is 8. And then I'm going to combine down. These two cancel out because I'm adding down. These are opposite signs, so negative 1.2 and 3.2. If I subtract it, I have 2y equals, adding these two together, I have 14 divided by 2. I have y equals 7. So it really doesn't matter which letter I'm solving for first. I'm always just looking for which one is going to be easier. Plugging this in for y, I would rather multiply 7 times the 0.8 instead of the negative 1.2. Either one works, but I'm going to plug it into the bottom one. So I have negative 0.9x plus 0.8 times 7 equals 2. So negative 0.9x plus 8 times 5 is 56. One decimal is going to be 5.6 equals 2. Get the x by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 5.6. These are opposite signs. So these cancel out. These are opposite signs, and I get a negative 3.6 equals negative 0.9x divided by negative 0.9, negative 0.9. And if I'm thinking about this, the negatives cancel out, decimal moving, whatever I do on the bottom. So this is the same thing as 36 divided by 9. So x equals 4 and y is 7. So typing those in, x is 4, y is 7. Check my answer. And I can clear my work. And I will do one more of these and we should be good for the problem. Yet again, I don't have anything that cancels out. Be careful with my decimals. The 0.5 and 0.15, I could multiply this by 0.3 because my decimal has to move over. I need to get a 0.15, so I need 2 decimals. So thinking about that, that's a little trickier, but I can do that. It's a matter of how you recognize those numbers. And I see that they match. I could divide it out to make sure. But I'm going to multiply this by 0.3. So I'm going to have 2 decimals. 3 times 5 is 15, and that will get my 2 decimals. All right, so distributing that 0.3. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 decimal places is the 0.1.5x. 3 times 6 is 18. And 2 decimals is there. It's going to be plus, is right in front. And then y equals 19 times 3. Is what I'm thinking. This is the same thing. It's like 20 minus 1 times 3. So 60 minus 3 is 57. But there's going to be 2 decimals. So this is going to be 5.7 or 0.57. Now the second one, I'm going to keep it exactly the same. Actually, I'm going to multiply this by a -1, meaning I'm going to change all of the signs. So this will become negative 0.15. A negative times a negative is positive 0.07 equals positive 1.68. And just make sure you're lining up your decimals when you're doing this, and we're gonna combine down. These two cancel out. 8.18 plus 0.07 is 0.25. Y equals, adding this together, this is going to be a 2.25. Now I'm thinking quarters because 25 cents. I know 25 cents is 9 quarters, so I'm going to divide by 0.25. 0.25. Y equals 9. That's really just one of those things I can think in quarters in my head. But you could divide it out. It does let you have the calculator if you really need it. All right, now I'm going to plug this 9 for y into either one of the equations. I kind of think I like the top one a little bit better, but neither one looks that great. So I have 0.5x plus 0.6 times 9 equals 1.9. This is 54 with 1 decimal, so this is 5.4 plus. Now 0.5 is the same thing as 0.5. Sometimes I get lazy about putting that 0 in front of it. 1.9. So I'm going to subtract 5.4. These are opposite signs. $35. Okay, so I have 0.5x equals negative 3.5 divided by 0.5. I could move my decimals, and 5 goes into 35 7 times. So x equals negative 7. Typing my answers in. I have negative 7 for x and 9 for y. And we will check. And we are good with this topic.